Colorado has a rich mining history, with fortunes created and towns grown around the metals in the ground. Unfortunately, mining can't last forever. Fluctuating demand and prices, or simply running out of viable material can ruin a mine, and with it, the people and towns will disappear. Today, when you visit Colorado, it is impossible to miss the history. There are mines and ghost towns everywhere, although most are falling into a state of disrepair. The harsh winters and passing of time is taking its toll. With a week to spend in Colorado, we decided to visit as many of these mines and ghost towns as possible. Welcome to Colorado. Behind me we have the Red Mountains. We're getting ready to go up there and check out the ghost town. And that's really the whole goal of this video, is to see as many ghost towns and abandoned mines as we can. And you may hear in the background a weird noise. If I turn around, there's us. We're airing down. Those are Wes's automatic deflators going. I'm about to start airing down as well. It's not a difficult road, difficult trail at all, but we're going to go on some rocky trails later, and it just helps make it a little more comfortable. The Red Mountain Mining District took off in the late 1800s with the discovery of silver and gold. Covering just 8 square miles between the ghost town of Ironton and the road to Webster Pass, it has nearly 40 mines and the remains of 6 competing towns. Our first stop was at the Guston Mine, which was home to the town of Guston, an informal and unorganized mining camp that was surrounded by over a dozen other mines. The most famous of the surrounding mines is the Yankee mine. The ore was so rich that it didn't need processing, and instead was shipped directly to the smelter. Today, the hoist house used to access the mine still stands. In its time, it would have lowered miners over 1,000 feet under the ground. This, the Guston, and the Genesee Vanderbilt mines further up the mountain kept the town alive. To the south is the road to Red Mountain Town, the biggest and probably most infamous town in the area. When the Reverend Davis attempted to establish a church in the town in 1891, he was driven away by the local establishments because it was decided he would be bad for business. Instead, he built his church in Guston, and the day it was dedicated, the business district of Red Mountain Town burned to the ground. The town had a history of being moved, burned to the ground, and being rebuilt multiple times. Today, all that remains is the open town site, a headframe, and a single cabin. Just past Red Mountain Town is Red Mountain Pass. There are far fewer mines, but the road takes you up into the mountains where the views are far more impressive. Just across the $1 Million Highway is Webster Pass. As we came down from the Red Mountain Loop, we had noticed dark storm clouds hanging over the other side of the valley. Mountain passes are not fun in severe weather, but the eastern side of Ophir is easy enough to return if the weather is bad. Thankfully, it cleared up as we climbed. The next morning, we headed to the Eureka Visitor Center to see what passes were open.
Good morning. What can we help you with today?
Morning. Just looking to see what's open.
Not a lot.
So unfortunately, pretty much everything is closed here. It's June 7th, so a lot of the trails are still covered in snow. And according to the person at the Visitor Center, they only have 2 of their 7 crew that normally clear the trails, so they're going to be behind this year even more. If you plan on coming this way, then you definitely want to come later in the year. You know, July is usually a safe bet, but the later the better. And if you can, fall is the best time. It is just beautiful here with the trees, the aspen trees in the fall. So the plan for today was to go up Corkscrew over Hurricane Pass through California to get to Animus Forks. But because it's not cleared, we're going to have to go down to Silverton and take the road up that way, and hopefully we can get across to some of the other mines and ghost towns that are up there, but we don't know until we get there. Immediately out of Silverton is the Eureka Town site. The only remaining structures are the jail and the Sunnyside Mill foundations. In its day, the mill was an impressive sight, but today most people drive right past it. The real attraction of the area is further up the mountain. Animus Forks is one of the best known ghost towns in Colorado and is easily accessible from Silverton or via Engineer, Cinnamon, or Hurricane Pass. The town was first established in 1873 by prospectors looking for valuable metals. It eventually grew to a community of over 450 people with saloons, a hotel, a post office, and a general store. At 11,200 feet, the winters were harsh enough that the residents would move down the valley to Silverton. One year, they were caught out by an early blizzard, which lasted 23 days and covered the town in 25 feet of snow. They ended up digging tunnels to get from building to building. As with many of the other towns in the area, dropping mine profits led to a decline in the town, and it was abandoned by the 1920s, less than 50 years after the first cabin was built. A short distance from Animus Forks is the Frisco Mill. This mill was prefabricated. It was cut and fit together in Silverton before being transported piece by piece and then reassembled in its current location. To help with reconstruction, all of the parts were given a number and letter code that is still visible today. From the mill, we cut south up Placer and Pecan Gulch around Treasure Mountain. From Pecan Gulch, we crossed County Road 2, the road we had taken from Silverton to Animus Forks, and made the short drive up to Cinnamon Pass. There, 24 miles an hour, so I guess I won't be flying the drone. Carson Ghost Town is described as one of Colorado's most inaccessible mining camps. At almost 12,000 feet, it also suffered from Colorado's harsh winters. You can't fail to notice the incredible number of dead trees in the area. Once limited by the winters that plagued the mining towns, bark beetles now kill billions of trees across the US. In the last 20 years alone, they have killed off forests the size of the state of Utah. So I don't know if I got it on camera, but as Wes was pulling in, he did scuff a tree with the awning right up there. And that's the bracket that holds the awning on the slide out. So right now he can't use the slide out until we get it reattached. And thankfully I'm one of those people that just collects random screws and bolts. So I've got a little stack of them down here, and we've got some self-tapping screws we'll try out first.
Watch TV, eat Chinese, fall asleep with your fingers lacing with mine. Well, just take a load out, baby. Let's just breathe. Oh, just breathe. Got only me, just you and me. So just breathe.
Behind me are Twin Lakes, just outside of Leadville, Colorado, and we're set up here in the National Forest. It was a little bit of a squeeze getting in last night, as you saw. It was also chilly last night, you can probably tell because I got this on now. It was sleeting when we pulled in, but it should warm up today, which is just as well because we're going to head up towards Aspen and check out the Ashcroft ghost town up there. I'm hoping to do some of the trails around there, maybe some of the mountain passes, but I think it's unlikely. There's not a lot of information here. Unlike down in Ouray, you can look online, you can go to the visitor center and see exactly which passes are open and closed. You don't really have that here, so I think we're gonna have to drive up there and find out. Over Independence Pass and just south of Aspen, the town of Ashcroft was mapped, laid out, and had a courthouse built in just 2 weeks. Within 5 years, the population reached 3,500 people, but by the end of the 5th year, mine production declined and the population plummeted to just 100 people. The town did continue, however, and was almost saved by the Winter Olympics. Construction of a European-style ski resort was planned, but World War II put an end to any chances of development. Ashcroft's last resident died in 1939, and it officially became a ghost town. So online it says that Pearl Pass is currently impassable because of snow. I'm not sure if that's true, that may be out of date. Elizabeth says she saw something that said it was open, but we're not going to risk it either way. We're still going to head up Pearl Pass Road, but about halfway up we're going to take a right and go up Montezuma Basin to check out the mine. We're 3 miles from Pearl Pass, and you can just make out Pearl Mountain behind me, and it does look like a really cool mountain to go up there. But I'm guessing, based on the snow that we've had down here, the trail is probably blocked. And I think between us and the pass is a little area that's well known for having snow blockages. Well, we've gone maybe, I don't know, 50 feet since I last talked to you, and trail's blocked. So I think it's chainsaw time. Well, this is as far as we can make it, which is about a quarter of a mile beyond where the trees were. So we haven't made it too far. We've got a big snowfield in the way, which we're just not going to make it through. I flew the drone up there and I couldn't see much in the way of a mine. There's a little bit of structures way up there and there's a little bit just around the corner over here, and for some reason a random cabin up here. But obviously we're not going to make it either way, so we'll turn around. I think Elizabeth wants to turn around in the snow, so we'll probably end up getting stuck. The next morning was Wes's final day in Colorado. He packed up his RV and we headed to St. Elmo. St. Elmo is easily accessible and very well preserved. While it is officially considered a ghost town, there are several residents of the town and the general store is open in the summers. We just got done at St. Elmo Ghost Town, and unfortunately the passes around here are closed. So Tin Cup Pass is still closed because of snow. So we're not able to do those, but that's okay because we're heading up to Breckenridge anyway, because Elizabeth has an interview tomorrow morning via Zoom call for a data science job, which is pretty exciting because that's the first step, or one of the steps towards us traveling more and her working remotely. Well, we ended up staying at a hotel last night. I was the overlander with a rooftop tent and a trasheroo sitting outside the hotel, but it was worth it because it meant that Elizabeth had a good, stable internet connection. She could sit in the room for the interview, and I believe it went well. So we are heading south now, back through Breckenridge, and there was a fire truck. I promise I'm paying attention while doing all this videoing. So we're heading back through Breckenridge now, and we are going to go up to Eureka Pass. Eureka Pass follows the old railroad route through the mountains from Breckenridge to Como. Along the way, you can see relics from the railroad, including a restored water tank. At the top of the pass is the small ghost town of Eureka. The town was constructed for workers of the railroad who would constantly clear the lines in the winter. A short drive east of Eureka Pass is Webster Pass, which will take us back across the mountains to our next destination. Unfortunately, like many of the other passes on this trip, it was closed. Dinner tonight is jambalaya, because it's quick and it's easy, and it's one of those things that doesn't take up much space in the vehicle. It's got this little box. Turkey sausage lasts forever in the fridge, so you don't need to worry about it going bad, and you just need to add water. Simple. While it's cooking, let me show you this. I know a lot of people make fun of the trasheroo, but I love it. This is where I keep like all of the trash, obviously, but we've also got a little toilet seat in here. But one of the other things we take with us, especially in bear country, is this. This is a bear vault, and I'll put a link to this in the description. So what I do is I put all of the scented waste in here. So like the package the sausage came in goes in here. The package of the jambalaya mix will go in here. Now I have another trash bag in the actual trasher itself, and then like the cardboard packaging on the outside of the jambalaya will go in that trash bag. So that way I've got all the scented stuff in here sealed away, and I can put this away from camp, so if any bears come around to investigate, they don't bother us and they can't get into this, and it doesn't encourage them to then approach humans again in the future. Because a bear will tear through a trasheroo if you've got something scented in there. When we were last in Colorado, we actually had a bear investigating it, and we had a paw print right on the back there of the back of the 4Runner. It's good to be back out camping on the trail again. It's funny, I actually sleep better in the tent than I do in a hotel room. I think Tough Stuff's mattress is a really good mattress. It was a little firm when I first bought it, but it's softened up a lot over the last year and a half of use. We had a couple come past us last night while we were setting up, and they said that you can actually get a significant way up the pass before you get to the blockage. So today, at the very least, I want to make it to see where this water's coming from, because it's very orange, so I'm assuming there's a mine further up there it's all flowing out of. And then we may go on up to the blockage, and then from there we'll have to come back down because we can't make it past. We'll have to go all the way around on the highway. Well, we made it to the bottom of the switchbacks, and the second switchback's covered in snow to the point where it'd be dangerous for us to drive up there. It's actually a couple with a razor that joined us, and they went on ahead and told me. So we waited at the bottom, that way we don't have to back all the way out. But still here, just at the bottom of the switchbacks, you have beautiful views out over the valley behind me. The mountains look really cool up there. So I'm really looking forward to coming back here next year, later this year, basically whenever I can, and doing this properly. But right now, we're going to turn around and head back out and hopefully find somewhere else that is not covered in snow. Well, I got stuck. I didn't make it very far. The snowbank here, I guess going back through it, is a little more awkward than on the way up. Well, traction boards did the trick. Finally managed to pull through. I don't know how I didn't make it through this time. It's odd. Unfortunately, while I was getting the traction boards out, I slipped on the rock sliders, buried my feet in the snow, and ended up breaking. I fell into the vehicle and broke the indicator stalk. So now I can't signal. Well, I can, but I have to do this to signal. I figured out that the headlight is operated by that little bit in there spinning, so I stuck my knife in and managed to rotate it. So now the headlights are always on, and if I want to indicate, I just pull down on that or push up on that. Since we couldn't make it over Webster Pass, we decided to go around on the highway to check out the last few mines along Peru Creek Road. Well, that's it. It's the end of the tour of the mines and ghost towns of Colorado. And I know we didn't hit them all, but it just gives us a reason to come back next time. Right now, Elizabeth and I have to actually drive over to Denver, and we're flying home. We've got to sell our house. There's a couple of reasons we're flying. First one is it's only $40 to fly back to Kentucky, so it's a bargain, a lot cheaper than driving. And the second is it means we can actually come back out here and continue and do some more videos later this summer. As usual, this whole thing was made possible by my Patreon supporters, so thank you all for supporting. If you're interested in helping out, funding these trips, then head over to patreon.com/Revere Overland. I'll put a link to that in the description as well. And one of the bonuses is you get some stickers or a patch, and you get all of our tracks and waypoints from this trip. Thanks for watching.